Okay, so here we go again. Before I start, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm gonna start with this today in Austin, Texas. Right, Antifa's out doing their thing, and whatever's going on with this guy on the motorcycle, they started assaulting him. They started attacking him, and the cops had just driven through. They don't arrest anybody. They don't do anything as usual. You know that this guy's got a baton. He's hitting this dude. You know, and you see the cop drive by. There was actually two of them. I know in the beginning you see another cop drive by, but yeah, there he goes. So two cops drive by. Does anybody get arrested? Does anything happen? Of course not. And this is in Texas. So, I don't know how many times I have to say it. The police are not on your side. They're not going to help you. They're not going to arrest Antifa for. They'll arrest Antifa when Antifa assaults them. But if Antifa assaults you and breaks your window, hits you with the baton, they don't care. They're not doing anything about it. And it's not just in Portland or in Seattle or Chicago or New York. It's everywhere. It's in Texas too. The cops will not help you. But in other and here we go. Jim Jordan challenges AG Garland and DHS secretary on their failure to address Antifa. Okay, I get it. Jim Jordan, you have you have to keep the dog and pony show going, but sending them a letter saying, "Hey, why aren't you doing anything about this?" isn't solving the problem. We all know that Joe Biden isn't going to do anything about Antifa. None of them are. We already know that the military and police have been taken over by woke cultists, and if it was up to them, they would kill you, Jim Jordan. If they, or they'd put you in the gulag, or they'd do some other horrible thing to you. So, while they continue, violent left wing extremists continue to vandalize and destroy federal property in Portland, Oregon, Jim Jordan, you are writing letters, strongly worded letters to, come on. Yes, we all know Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is completely useless. I how he's still mayor, I don't know, but he's still mayor. And just as Andy Noah put it, what a world that Salem Police Department and Oregon State Police allowed a criminal mob to assault drivers for hours outside Oregon Capitol. They were already aware days ahead of time that Antifa had been advertising the riot and calling for out of area reinforcements. You know, the police were there. They were there all day and watched as Antifa broke car windows, assaulted people, and they did nothing. Right? They did nothing. But as soon as somebody pulled a gun, they were right there to come after him. And yes, we know, I'm aware they let the guy go. For now, they're still investigating it. I don't know what's to investigate. It's all on video, but they're investigating it. You know, do you really have faith in the spineless, useless Oregon government to do the right thing? I mean, the police sat and watched all this stuff unfold all day long, right? So you really think the corrupt DA is going to do the right thing? Absolutely not. And it's a ridiculous way to see things. The police are not on your side. The DAs are not on your side. The whole system is not on your side. We are second class citizens. And that's just it. From Portland to Texas and everywhere else, it's the same everywhere. We have seen this exact thing happen hundreds of times, thousands of times. They've been, I mean, how honestly, how many people have been burning and looting with, yeah, some of them got arrested, maybe a couple of them went to prison, but like in Philly, they're just going to let them all go. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what's going to happen everywhere. They've been doing it in Portland and in Oregon for a long time. But in other news, Biden White House confirms $3 trillion infrastructure bill, and there has been a little bit of talk about a fourth stimulus. There's some people, I guess, that are pushing for it. I mean, if it weren't bad enough, it's just gonna keep getting spending more money. And but some breaking news: Biden says states should pause their reopening efforts. Does this dude think we're stupid? I mean, come on, really? Obviously, the the mask thing doesn't work. It's obvious, okay? Because like Texas has reopened their state or whatever, and cases are down. Cases and hospitalizations and everything else, it's down. Meanwhile, in one of the strictest COVID lockdown states, New York, New Jersey, cases and hospitalizations are going up. I can only imagine why that is. You know, it's so obviously the lockdowns do not work. They're ineffective and they're destroying everything. But Joe Biden has to hold on to that tiny little bit of power that he has because the, obviously being president isn't enough for him. But then again, he's not really president of the whole country anyway because he's begging for states to, you know, to pause their reopening. He's like, please just listen to me. Please. This dude's, he's not in control of anything. It's hilarious. But in other news, Derek Chauvin's trial started today. AJ plus a very just I haven't looked at them, but just from this little description, AJ Plus is a unique digital news storytelling project promoting human rights and equality. And as soon as I read equality, I was like, "Yep, it's pretty. They're they're very far left." So they tweeted the charge, which everybody knows. my opinion, they're not getting murder. They're going to be hard pressed to get manslaughter. 9 of the 15 jury are white. Timeline expected to take 4 weeks. Now, it took them what 2 3 weeks just to pick the jury. Come on, there's no way it's going to take 4 weeks. This trial is going to. They're going to drag this trial out as long as they can. This trial is going to take forever. I know people are, you know, my hope is that it drags into the winter, and then and then when it whatever the thing is, because people aren't going to be out rioting when there's 2 feet, 2 3 feet of snow on the ground. So, meanwhile, there's already protests. Al Sharpton was there. You know, it's crazy. But if it really, if they're right and it's the trial's like 4 weeks, we're gonna the whole country is gonna be on fire because I don't think this guy's. There's no way he gets murder. But other news: Biden says he shares CDC director's sense of impending doom on the pandemic. Again, just trying to maintain that tiny amount of power that they have or think they have. So, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky's sense of impending doom on the pandemic, warning that Americans are becoming too lax on lockdown measures. Sorry, we're not going to listen to you anymore when the evidence is to the contrary of everything that you're advocating for. It's it's a sad day when something like the CDC has become political. It it really shows that the crack in just a massive crack in the government. Everything it's not good. All these, the military, the CDC, all these things, they're supposed to be apolitical. They're not supposed to get involved. And here we go. But in other news, tech CEO sounds the alarm on what vaccine passports really mean. Recently Cuomo did his. I don't even know how that guy's still governor, but they're doing a passport vaccine. You know, Gotta have your papers. While advertised as a voluntary measure, New York State officials are making it clear that not participating in the program will result in an individual being essentially shut out from society. Yep. Just in, the Biden administration is working to develop a vaccine passport that will allow Americans to travel and enter businesses that require proof of vaccination. Now, Dr. Naomi Wolf sounds the alarm on the push for vaccine passports. I am not overstating this. I can say it forceful. I can't say it forcefully enough. This is literally the end of human liberty in the West if this plan unfolds. Absolutely right. You know, there's so many things wrong with that. What happened to like HIPAA laws and it's clearly a violation of your rights, but I mean, what you know, I was never me personally. I was never planning on getting the vaccine, and I don't care. I'm you know who's going to stop me from trying to live my life? I mean, it's crazy because the only places that are even crazy enough to do this stuff, you know, I'm fortunate that I don't live in such an area that would be horrible enough to violate my rights like this. But even on a national level, there's so many places that do not even follow any of this stuff. I've seen the stickers on the window. The town where I live, I've seen the mask stickers on the window, and mask required for entry. Nobody cares. Most people don't care, and that's just kind of how it is. And it's going to be the same thing with this. Do you think people are really going to follow it? But there are places that will, and my advice is to leave those places. It's not easy, but what else can you do? So, and I had to report on this because not to be. So this is the not that they report Biden administration is imposing new regulations on the meat industry. They're going to they're going to raise they're going to raise the cost of meat. It's just just as inflation is hitting us, and I I don't I don't know that where they think that any of this is a good idea. So they they report meat plants were shut down repeatedly last year due to coronavirus outbreaks, which caused supply chain disruptions and increased prices overall. The Biden administration was supposed to unveil their designs for these new regulations by March 15th, but they haven't, a move that has panicked meat industry experts and caused them to warn about any political change that could cause meat prices to soar. Although I detest the way a leftist government is trying to take away free speech, religious liberty, and while I abhor its attempts to disarm and discredit its own people, there are definitive lines said government can cross that go way beyond the pale. Taxing my bacon is one of them. So, meat prices are going to soar, it, as if they're not already, but it's just going to be worse. Everything is. It's all coming back. Yeah, I think. Yep, gas prices are up, and they're talking about the tax per mile you drive. You know, all this ridiculous stuff. I mean that the gas or the tax per mile drive. I mean, we'll see because that doesn't come from Biden. I don't believe in the people that just because a senator says something doesn't make it. Oh, it's indefinitely. This is it. This is what's going to happen. No, absolutely not. You know, it's that's just one guy in the machine, right? So when Pete Buttigieg or whatever comes out and says something, you know, I can't take him all that seriously because he's just one guy, you know. But it's a little bit different with the president, considering that he can push Congress to do basically whatever he wants. And there's zero compromise in the Senate. So, you know, it's it's gonna get bad, but I'm gonna leave it there.